oh, like there's too many topics.
Yeah.
But I ended up landing on college and career readiness.
Really?
And that like really ties into my job. And also like I noticed a big connection to the podcast as well. And to go off of that, is there anything you guys remember about college and career readiness?
Welcome to today's episode. We're joined by special guest Liz Visscher, a dedicated school counselor with a passion for college and career readiness. In our conversation, Liz shares her own pre-college experiences, insights from her work with students, and practical steps for navigating the path to higher education and beyond. It's a relatable and inspiring discussion about one of life's most pivotal transitions, so let's dive in. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of 42 North. We are your hosts, Matt Lang
and Joel Blackburn.
And we are in a brand new space.
Heck yeah, we are.
Heck yeah. So, our dear friends Matt and Alli recently purchased a new house. Also, Alli is with us today.
Yeah, she is.
Change topics really fast there, but welcome to the show. It's exciting to have you here.
Hi, Alli.
Yeah, thank you.
Matt Bell, who is normally producing for us, is out on a work trip this week, so we hope he's doing well.
Yes.
But yeah, new space. We are still working on some audio and some like echo and things in here, so bear with us for this episode while we kind of get everything
This room has some bare walls. And
Yep,
it echoes nice and well.
Yep. We are moving forward. It's been fun to see, even just in the move from the last location we were in. The setup itself has evolved a little bit too. We've got some new infrastructure, if you will, just to get everything working correctly. So quick reminder to check us out on Facebook, Threads, and Instagram for updates and behind the scenes looks. Joel, how are we doing?
Yeah, we're doing great, dude. We are living life. I just got done with yet another wedding. This summer is just holy cow. It is one after the next, dude. Just went down to Ohio and was down there for a friend of mine, Raj. Was his name. Was my roommate this last semester. Which
we heard about your little excursion a few episodes up to the UP, right?
Yep. Yeah. So he finally got married down in Ohio. I might have some opinions about it being Ohio, but that's aside from the point.
Leave that alone.
Anyways, so we went down, Lydia and I did, and we actually went and stayed in an Airbnb overnight with Matt and Alli, which was really awesome, and then sort of spent the day before the wedding just doing some things, sort of looking around, went to like a little marketplace and got to check that out.
Okay.
And
like a food market, or was it kind of a little bit of everything?
Yeah, definitely like a food market. I don't know. Is that the take you got on that, Alli?
Yeah, it had a bunch of different like restaurants set up and bakeries. And
that's
flower
fun.
shops.
Yeah. Sort of the same thing like the one in Grand Rapids for any of the people sort of around this area that know of the marketplace up there.
Yeah.
Sort of that same idea. And so did that and then came back and changed and went to the wedding, which was super great. It was a really fancy wedding and just a beautiful time. And then left the next day, right after that, got up pretty early in the morning and went to a super bougie coffee shop.
Ooh,
yeah. I haven't told you about this.
No, you haven't.
We found, Matt Bell and I, the first day, found this super bougie coffee shop. I just found one on Maps.
Sure.
And sent him the location, was like, hey, do you want to go to this in the morning? He's like, sure, why not?
Nice.
And we're like driving, and it keeps getting nicer. And we're like, what the heck? And we finally get to this coffee shop, and we're like, we're way out of our league here. Like, what the heck's going on?
Okay, how much were the drinks?
It's still your average price. I think it was like $4 or $5 a drink. So,
dude, that's cheap.
Yeah, no, not bad at all. But I mean, it's like, you're like small size, nothing huge. Yeah,
all
so
right.
it's a
so you're not getting like a 24 ouncer for $5. Okay,
no,
that makes more sense.
No, it was like a 12 or something like that. I don't know.
Okay,
size-wise, Alli, I don't.
Yeah, it was like the typical small.
12
ounce-ish.
Why does bougie always get small? That makes no sense to me.
Because it's bougier.
Oh my gosh.
Anyways, so yeah, it was super cool. They had like a little like lakefront view that you could like sit outside and like enjoy the like nature view and everything. And there was like a little like trail that you could walk on around there.
Oh,
There was
nice.
a waterfall in the area,
Yeah.
just super cute, really nice. But the area was just super rich, just very, it was like, wow, we are out of our depth here.
Sure. Yeah.
But yeah, so went there that next morning and then went up to South Haven for Lydia's family. The Blueberry Festival's in South Haven.
Oh, yeah.
This last weekend. And so
Oh, very cool.
Her family typically has a huge gathering and like get together. So went to go do that.
Okay.
Both on Saturday and Sunday.
I wondered what you were up to.
Yeah.
I saw pictures of you in like spaces consistently that I'm like, I don't recognize. This is definitely not his house.
Yeah, it was her grandparents' place.
Got it.
Yep, they live over in South Haven, and
Got it.
they have a nice house pretty close to the beach, and so
Nice.
got to spend some time there, going to the beach, watching a movie, hanging out, doing some things there. They had like a fly-in, the picture I sent you of the airplanes.
Yeah.
That was, we
Yeah,
had
that's
a
fun.
blueberry pancake thing in the morning that
Nice.
you like eat them and like right on the airstrip type of thing, and that was pretty cool.
Nice.
And look at the airplanes afterwards. and-
Nice.
yeah, so we did that, and then today I actually just finished the house that I lived at on Western's campus.
Mhm.
Just finished. They're putting in a porch.
That's right.
And,
Yeah.
so they finished the framing
Yeah.
for the porch, and Ben,
Mhm.
my
Yeah.
father-in-law, Dad,
Episode
wow,
4.
that's interesting.
Episode 4, Ben.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, he's my dad now. That's unique.
That's so. Wow. Yeah. That's incredible.
Yeah, it is amazing. And he had asked me for some help, and so I basically like picture framed in the outside of the deck.
Okay. When you
or,
say picture framed.
if you envision the top of the porch and all the deck boards that you would lay on top of the porch, rather than just having a bare end, you actually take and run a picture frame around the outside edge.
Okay.
Just makes it look a little nicer, makes it
Yeah.
look like there's one cohesive board going
Yep.
all the way around.
Yep.
And so he's like, if you could do that, that'd be awesome because you're good with that stuff.
Sure.
And there's, funky angles.
Yeah.
And fancy
And that
cuts
deck
and-
does have some interesting.
Yeah.
Like it looks straightforward, but especially that one diagonal leading out towards
Yeah.
the corner of the house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you know what you're doing, it's not too bad. But
Okay.
yeah. If you have the right tools. Yeah.
Okay.
Anyways, so just finished that up today. So
Nice work.
The boards are going to start to get laid. I laid the first 2.
Okay.
So probably within the next week or 2, that porch should have all the boards on it, and then the ramp and stairs and roof are going to get put on, and
Okay.
it'll be done.
Very cool.
Yeah. Anyways, enough about me. What have you been up to, dude?
Yeah. Man, kind of feels like a lot and kind of feels like nothing at all kind of month, So had some pretty cool like major events, but mostly been chilling. We did
Yeah.
get to Chicago. My second time ever
Oh, heck yeah.
to Chicago, and I just soak up the big city, man. Like I don't know what it is, but like I love getting out and like hiking and all
Yeah.
that stuff, but there's something that just like
You want all of the big city vibes?
I guess,
You love
yeah,
it? Yeah.
I don't know. It just makes something in me so incredibly happy walking
Sipping your
the
little
streets
coffee,
and-
walking down the street.
Dude, the place we went for coffee
Yeah.
and bagels was phenomenal.
Explain
It
bagels.
was breakfast bagels.
Breakfast bagels.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It was like an egg and cheese. It was maybe the best like specialty bagel I've ever had. It was delicious.
Okay.
Well, we tried to go to Shed Aquarium. That didn't work out so well. We didn't realize you like have to book ahead because you cannot get in like day of. But we got into Field Museum and we got into a bit of Adler Planetarium. We didn't get to see any of
nice.
the actual shows, but
They're so good.
yeah, but we did get in for free, which was cool.
Heck yeah.
Through like a reciprocal membership situation and just the environment. The gift shop was really fun.
Not the gift shop.
Yeah, we got into a little bit of trouble there.
Oh no.
But it was just a really good day with some really cool people.
Awesome.
Also got to with my parents. My dad and I have been getting into traditional archery for the past year or so.
Yeah, I remember you talking about that here. And there.
Yeah. And so actually the same weekend you were at that wedding,
Okay.
that same day my dad and I were heading up to this traditional archery shoot. And it was really cool.
No
It
way.
was like it wasn't crazy huge, but it was like a fair number of like vendors were there, so we got to see like bought some new gear, and there was like a practice range with some static targets, and then you could go like into the woods, and there was like different targets you could hit at different
Whoa,
ranges,
okay.
different sizes. My personal favorite, they had like a 3D dinosaur that was like I don't know, 20 yards out or something like
That's
that.
amazing.
It might not have been quite that far, but it was cool because where my dad and I normally practice, we're limited to a pretty short range, like 8 foot. So we try to aim for like really small targets to kind of make up for that. But
Yeah.
to step up to each, shot and be like, oh wow, I really have to think about, arrow drop and, really think about, and you're holding, because you have to kind of calculate each target. I'm like holding the string back
For a while.
for significant enough longer.
Yeah.
Because, you get it to the point where you're like, you got your sight line and then you're like, oh shoot, I got to adjust now. And so it was like, it was a lot more of the mental game, which I love that.
Yeah.
So we had a really good time. We went into that thinking we would do terrible because we're both pretty novice.
Yeah.
In archery. And we actually we hit like 80% of the targets. So
Heck
we were
yeah,
we were
dude.
pretty
Way to
happy with
go.
it. Yeah.
That's awesome.
We only lost 3 arrows each. Which
Nice.
in the woods, we'll take that.
Yeah,
Seriously. We'll take that.
That's real.
Yeah. Other than that, doing a little kind of pseudo job hunting right now, like on the side.
Okay.
The IT thing's still going strong, but
Nice.
that's just been a weird experience trying to look for something that's a little more like pseudo freelance or pick your own hours. Never really stepped into that world before, so it's been interesting. But yeah, that is about it on my end. So
Nice.
yeah, shall we jump in?
I think so. Why don't we introduce our guest here? So yeah, we are very pleased to introduce our guest, Liz Visscher, today. Welcome on, Liz.
Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So just a couple quick questions right off the bat. Just getting to know who you are, what you do, and where you're from.
Yeah, of course. I'm currently a grad student studying school counseling and also in my last semester of school, which is really exciting.
Heck yeah.
Let's go.
And then at the same time, kind of in a weird season of I'm a student, but I'm also starting a full-time job as an elementary school counselor.
Okay.
Which
A week.
doubles as your internship too, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
which
crazy.
is such a great opportunity. And,
That's so cool.
Really, I'm also a Christian and just seeing how God's hand was in that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing, Liz. You want to also just enlighten us on sort of where you're from, where your journey's sort of been in life up to this point, as far as location goes? Yeah.
Definitely. I'm originally from West Michigan, grew up in Holland, and loved being by the beach. And then I moved.
So jealous.
Yeah.
Honestly.
And then I moved up to mid-Michigan area for my undergrad, and then 2 years ago I moved to Southwest Michigan to start grad school, so just kind of a little all over the place in Michigan, but that's been really cool just to see different areas and the fun spots in each of them.
Yeah, definitely. So obviously Kalamazoo's the best, right? Yeah, right.
If it was closer to the
You
beach.
hesitated.
No, I would definitely take the beach life over living in Kalamazoo any day of the week. I think.
Yeah,
Definitely
that's
did
not
not
bad.
take advantage of it enough over the summer.
No. Oh,
No.
yeah.
Wish I
man.
could have gone more.
No.
It was busy.
Sad day.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to hear what you have to talk about today. I know when we first sort of talked and stuff, you were sort of all over the place with just what you were passionate about, and I know we've been friends for a second here. All of us in the room have been friends with you and for a while, and you definitely have quite a variety of passions, I'd want to say. So you want to just enlighten us and bring us into what you are passionate about today.
Definitely. Like Joel was saying, I at first when I heard about the podcast, I'm like, wait, am I really passionate about something that I could talk about it for a whole episode? And then I got to the point where I was just listing ideas and just talking about thinking about different life experiences where I'm like, oh, there's too many topics.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I had some about rock climbing because that's something
Woo!
I've gotten
Yes.
into along with Matt and Joel, and talking about grief and singleness and some of my life experiences with that. But I ended up landing on college and career readiness.
Really?
And
Okay.
That really ties into my job and just what I'm interested in. And also I noticed a big connection like to the podcast as well, of almost like a meta thing of like being passionate about other people's passions and just wanting to prepare them for their futures.
Yeah, I'm really excited about this topic. It's another one of those where we, when we started this, we thought we were going to be doing more like hobbies and things like that.
Yep.
And I remember Trent being the first person we had on the show where it was more of an idea. And I feel like this is where I think he did like leadership, right?
Yep.
And this is very much in that, to me, in that same vein
idea,
of like this idea of something you can kind of cultivate. So I'm really excited to hear what first piqued your interest into this field, and what does it like mean to you?
Yeah, so kind of like a little bit of a long story and just like a lot of different experiences that led me to this point. First, I think like I really grew an interest in college and career readiness when I got to college, and it was always fun learning about people's majors and what they were doing in their future, and like just all the different things and jobs that you don't really know about. Like I had a couple of friends do fashion design and merchandising, and like that was like, I obviously knew like fashion design was a thing, but like didn't really know like what like studying that would look like. So like, it was always really cool to hear about that. And then like over time, once I decided pretty early in my freshman year of college that I wanted to be a school counselor, there's like a lot of indecision before that, but then it was pretty clear, and just a combination of like loving psychology and wanting to help people and having the ability to inspire students to make positive steps in their future, I became a lot more interested in the career preparation and getting ready for college side of things, and like what that would actually look like in a job.
So if we turn back the clock just a little bit, did you feel like you had a good path heading from high school into college and from college into, is this something that you've gotten to like experience it done well around you, if that makes sense?
I think yes and no. Like I don't remember much about like college and career readiness until high school, which the next question I'm going to ask is about like what you guys remember about that. But like it just was never like something that I was like really aware about. And like a couple times in high school, we did a career assessment that like asked you about different job interests. And for me, like some of it was pretty accurate, but I remember getting like a dance teacher one time and like a couple other ones of like, I don't necessarily like see this for me.
Man, you don't want to be a dance teacher?
If you were the dance teacher of any dance style, which one would it be? Sorry, that's off the cuff.
I got really involved with a dance fitness kind of Zumba like
really
class. This is at CMU. There's a bunch of different group fitness classes that they had, and this was one that I remember my two friends and I just really like latching onto, and like it was exercise, but also you are kind of looking ridiculous, but also just like dancing, and like it doesn't feel like exercise.
That's awesome. This is Liz Laura. I was not aware of.
Yeah.
So my senior year of high school, I took a class that was a lot about applying to college, and that was so helpful. And a couple times the teacher did a panel of current college students to hear their perspectives and advice, and I was so grateful to have that as an option at my school. But I also know that like not a lot of students really have that same opportunity, it's still like a growing curriculum, which that like kind of leads to like another reason why I'm passionate about this, is making sure every student has access to college and career readiness, and the amount of gaps that can close across race and ethnicity and social economic status, just being able to have that knowledge accessible to students. And at my high school, we also had a college advisor, which so helpful and like, really provided a lot of insight, because counselors are so busy. So like having another person. Another thing that kind of helped my path from high school to college was having two older siblings at the college I was at. My sister had graduated the year before, but like kind of went through the same honors program as me and like had some of the similar experiences. Nice. So it was really nice to like be able to ask her questions. And
Sure.
I know a lot of people around me didn't have that connection, so it might have made the transition to college a little bit more difficult.
Older siblings are great for that.
Yeah. So like there's, I think all in all, like to sum up that, like a lot of things that I would change about my college and career readiness and throughout high school and before that. And then also like a lot of things that I'm really grateful for. And to go off of that, is there anything you guys remember about college and career readiness in school?
Oh gosh. Yeah, there is. I did the early middle college program when I went to school. I went to Gull Lake, which is a fairly nice school, and they have a whole bunch of counselors and a whole bunch of really good resources. I would definitely say that school is blessed as far as having access to a lot of that stuff goes. There's a lot of information and a lot of access to a lot of those different college and career readiness things. There were, I think at the time, 3 different classes you could take that focused sort of solely around that area. I know when I was in high school, I took one of those classes and it was helpful at the time. Little asterisks there at the time. But yeah, it was a really well drawn out, well done program. I remember back in 8th grade, as we're getting ready to transition to high school, they actually had the high school counselors come in and they had everybody like do a test one day, and then like a couple days later they came back and they went over your results and sort of trying to get you to think about things, just as far as like the extracurricular classes that you could take at the high school, rather than just like your typical STEM classes, but then what else do you want to take added on to that? And here are these classes, and well, because at that point I wanted to be an engineer, so you might want to take these specific math classes, or you might want to go take like my dad actually teaches technical drawing, was really helpful at the time, or wood shop, getting those like hands-on experiences. So
those are huge.
Being able to like right off the bat in 8th grade get an idea of, okay, hey, this is sort of the direction you might want to head. Take these classes, and this is a helpful thing to you to give you somewhat of an idea of whether or not you might like it.
Yeah.
I will have to say though, as I'm a teacher now and not remotely an engineer, I think maybe they didn't fail in their area, but I think due to a number of different things and just finally getting that like field experience, which is so much different than getting experience at the school or at college.
Yep.
Yeah.
Then it was like, oh no, I don't really like truly like this. I just sort of thought I did, and it was, I like math more specifically, and I like interacting with students, which so it's like sort of the same vein, but a little bit different.
Yeah.
And that was still one of the things that popped up when I took those tests, was being a math teacher. So it was like, okay, we're not that far off.
Sure.
So it's still very helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Matt, you have any thoughts in that area?
Dude, I mean, so I don't remember, like, you guys are talking about having like an entire course on like college preparedness and stuff. I definitely didn't have that. But there were definitely a lot of aids that were like made available to me. So like we went to like college fairs, and like I know our local community college used to put on a thing, and they would talk about how to, things to look for in a college, how to set up financial aid, or like, X, Y, and Z. So we had a little bit of that. Weirdly, I was actually looking at going to Davenport University for a while, which is a smaller university in, I don't know. Where's that? It was like halfway between here and Grand Rapids.
Yeah, about.
Yeah, and it was like they had a fledgling. I thought at the time I wanted to do computer science. And it was actually kind of very similar to what you were talking about, where like I had an inkling. I knew I really enjoyed technology. That was kind of my forte in high school.
Yeah.
But what I didn't realize is that what I'm actually doing now in IT is probably what I always really wanted to be doing. But like I kind of had a knack for coding already. And so I stepped into that and kind of sort of knew what I was doing, and then realized I hated it.
Computer science is a little bit more in depth than IT work.
It's different.
In a different way.
It's very different. Yeah. The thing I loved about computer science was just the forming of software, and it's kind of like putting puzzle pieces together in the lines of code. And I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
I did not enjoy doing that till 2 a.m. in flowcharting logic every night for the rest of my life.
Yep.
Like that was the part where I'm like, I really respect this. Actually, the more I learned, the more I grew to respect the field, but I'm like, not with my life. Same thing with music therapy. I pivoted completely, went into MT and did 4 years of that in college, got the degree, basically. And yeah, it's just, I don't know. Like, if we're talking about college preparedness, I didn't know what the heck I was doing going into college.
Yeah.
Like, I took a gap year, and some of that might just be me. I've always kind of felt, and I don't mean this as like a self-diss. I've always felt like I was like 2 to 3 years behind most of my peers.
Yeah.
In just like the stage of life I was in, which is fine. Like, I get everybody's at a different point, but yeah, high school Matt was not ready. So yeah, that's my rant and a half.
Okay.
That's good to know. And like always, I was interested in like what other people were learning in school about college and career readiness, especially like once I started going to college and just like seeing people at different spots, and that like kind of what you were talking about, Matt, with like kind of adjusting to different changes and like what you wanted for your career and like the pivots you made, like a lot of like flexibility, and that's kind of an aspect under career readiness, which should have given a definition earlier, but career readiness is academic skills, which employability skills, technical skills, and like a lot of executive function about like regulating your emotion, managing stress, and like adapting to changes.
Okay.
And like just being willing to be a lifelong learner.
Yeah.
And then college career readiness is also kind of along those same lines. And there's not really like there can be differences in definitions, but sometimes they're often combined. And just like seeking to continue education after high school and just different academic skills and motivation, like taking care of oneself, and also that financial literacy piece. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is definitely a real thing. So I guess with that, where does, I don't know, our points of view, which you probably ate up a little since you enjoy that stuff, I would think.
Yes.
Where do you like go from this point? So like your interest in this area, like what are you hoping to do as you've spent your time learning this stuff?
Yeah, so being a school counselor, that's one of the 3 domains that the American School Counselor Association, ASCA, kind of asks school counselors to focus on, along with academics and social emotional learning. So, and like within that, there's some different like mindsets and behaviors that we want students to like kind of develop, and a lot of those relate to just success in the future. Like one of them is like having long and short term career goals, adapting to change and managing transitions, and like wanting to help normalize career changes, because a lot of people will go through some sort of career change and realize that what they've been pursuing might not have been like what really fits, kind of like what both of you were talking about with your story, like didn't necessarily fit with like what you wanted to do, but you're able to use those skills for the future. And yeah, like it's hard to like, maybe like I think sometimes it's like, oh, we want students to like have this path in that they make in high school and follow that and everything to turn out well, but like that's not always the case. And it's, I think, hard to balance that with like knowing that changes and like wanting students to be prepared, but also knowing that changes are really likely, and how that, like how to help students manage that and kind of keep a growth mindset of like, oh, I can adapt to a new career. I can go back to school or change my major, and just like those are really normal things that I just don't think are talked about as much.
Yeah, can I pick your brain on that a little bit?
Yeah.
So like we've definitely seen a massive shift from like my parents' generation. Like I have a family member who worked for I think 45 years at the same job.
Yeah.
And that was not uncommon. Whereas now, what is the average? 4 years? Switching job every 4 years?
Something like that. Yeah.
So clearly drastic change. Do you feel that one is healthier than the other? Like maybe the stability of sticking with something long term versus like mental health, concerns of like not enslaving yourself to one thing, or like what are your thoughts on that?
I think it definitely like can be different for like each person in their career, and that is a trend that was even talked about in my textbook for college and career readiness class, and just how younger generations are, I think, more willing to switch careers and don't necessarily have maybe as much of the company loyalty that maybe older generations had that might have like stopped them from wanting to leave their company. And I think there is some really encouraging things about Gen Z and millennials in the workforce who just like know what they want and like how they want to like change their job and career for the better, and just to be more focused on mental health and hopefully creating less burnout. But then also like that can lead to a lot of transition in jobs and like some instability in workplaces, and just like you are constantly training new people. So like it's a very much like a both and of
can be better for like the people but harder on like the businesses that have those people.
Well, I imagine even for the people to some extent, right? Like if you're switching, I don't know, I guess if you're content at each place you switch to, like that's one thing. But like do you find that like people who switch jobs more often struggle with a sense of like groundedness in their own lives? Or
haven't like looked too much into that, but I think it could be hard, especially, and like some people just really enjoy, especially like in your 20s, just being able to like travel and like move different spots. Sometimes I think that could be hard to like find community at work and like in the location you're in if you are moving so often, but like people do make it work. So it's kind of like a lot of college and career readiness is just finding what's best for an individual and just seeing like what would work for them, and that might not be what would be like my first choice.
So how do you prepare students for something like that? Like you've talked about this like emotional aspect, but like career readiness, but also being able to change. So how do you go about preparing them for something that's as diverse as that?
A lot of just like honest conversations about what work might look like, and actually talking more about what having a full-time job would be like. Because I feel like as I'm about to start like the first full-time job after graduation that I've really had, like it's still like a lot of like unknowns of like, oh, like, and like that, I think that's with like starting any job of like, what's it going to look like? But just like talking about how to have a work-life balance, and like with the career changes, just like talking about that is a possibility, and like you don't have to stick with something that you decided to do when you're 18, and just being flexible. And like I think for myself as a counselor, which I will be dealing with more elementary students, but also for me like being willing to learn new things and like understand different careers and like what the expectations are for those.
Yeah, you mentioned earlier, and I can't remember if it was in relation to your job or just college and career readiness as a whole, but the desire or the drive to enter into like continuing education. What does that look like in your position?
Oh, I am so excited to talk about this. I actually get to go to a training a couple days after we record this podcast about college and career readiness, which really fits with talking about it tonight. But there's a platform called Zello that is one of the main college and career readiness technologies that's being used in schools, and we're just gonna learn more about it and like how to bring that into an elementary school, and having lessons surrounding career. On the website they said like the sooner students start learning about college and career readiness, the better. And so like I'm really excited for that, and just like continuing to like keep myself updated on what is changing in careers and like what trends to look for, and like how I can translate that information to students K through 5, and if I ever transition to a different role, like middle and high schoolers as well.
Yeah.
I guess that you're talking about this like transition and change. So like even in your own job, so like you just stepped into being doing this role for elementary, and you can obviously do this for like middle school, high school. I don't know. Are you able to do it for college too?
I'm certified K through 12, so like that would be
so it's a totally
like a
different thing for college
transition. But I think there are some school counselors that do end up doing work at a college or vice versa.
So I guess within that, are you? And this might be a hard question to answer right now, just because you're starting out, but you're doing K through 5. Would you ever see yourself wanting to move up to like middle school, high school type of level, or switching to doing like a different aspect altogether?
That is a tough question. And like, it's so hard for me because like, I'm sure I've talked about this before with either of you of just like, there's benefits to doing counseling at every level. And even when I was looking for jobs or internships, I like really just cast a wide net of, like elementary, middle, or high school. Like I would be happy with it, and just like seeing the need at each level. I am really excited to be doing elementary because there's a lot of focus on preventative measures to teach students about coping mechanisms and conflict resolution to maybe prevent future issues, and just also like intervening when needed, and the ability to like start those career conversations early. Also, elementary school counselors aren't as common as especially like high school counselors, but also middle school counselors. So, but like there's such a need for it. Then I could also like see myself really enjoying middle school and just helping students kind of navigate through two big transitions of leaving elementary and starting middle school, and then leaving middle school and starting high school, and just like helping just really love those kids and like allow them to be themselves, because especially like middle schoolers go through different identity like and just like different interests that they and like trying to figure out who they want to be. So just like being someone to support them through that. And then high school is kind of where I think a lot of people commonly put college and career readiness, and just being able to help launch students into successful futures. But as we've talked about, like that also can begin in elementary school. So it's like all of them are good. I don't have a clear answer.
Yeah, no, that's totally fair. I mean, being so early on, I mean, you're literally just starting.
Right.
But in that same sense, like, to your point, I always thought that college and career readiness was mainly like a high school, college level focused thing. So it's really cool to hear that you're in such a point where like you're on like the quote unquote cusp of like doing something like this, where you're getting to do it for elementary students. And I think that would be like a super helpful thing to have those preventative measures in such a early part of life.
And I also kind of had like a similar like, oh, like college and career readiness is like only at the high school level, but like there's so many, probably gonna be my last point, but just like so many different reasons to do college and career readiness in an elementary school. Students and kids are so curious about careers and just wanting to expose them to a variety of careers, and like they're
just absorbing at such a crazy level at that age.
Like they're already being asked what they want to be when they're older. Like seeing like different careers represented in their toys. When I was doing research for this, I learned that Barbie has had over like 250 careers. So just like that's just like what kids are around, so like they know jobs.
Yeah, like I mean, when I was a kid, I thought for sure I was going to be like in construction or engineering.
No way.
Bob the Builder.
Bob the Builder.
Yeah,
that was exactly what I was gonna.
For
and
real.
I had my Bob the Builder Legos. And that defined me at that age.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, I am the farthest thing from an architect.
I was wholly convinced I was going to be a Lego engineer.
Dude, same. I told everybody I was going to be a Lego master builder when I was a little kid.
Yeah.
And I barely knew what that took, but I had the giant books, and I would show them. They made these really big things, and I thought that I would have the brain to be able to do that, and I did not.
I did.
Yeah, like kids do have big dreams like that, and just like trying to talk about it realistically without like bursting their dream because that's terrible.
Yeah.
But one of the ways that
Yeah.
I learned in my class last fall was like using those interests and like being a Lego master builder, like professional athlete, influencer,
Yeah.
to like teach about careers within like those jobs, that the skills that are needed to do that, and like whether it's like video editing or athletic
Mhm.
training, and just like using those interests as like a springboard to talk more deeply about different careers.
Yeah. I vividly remember one of my counselors in middle school was actually the one who pointed me towards engineering. She was like, you seem like wholly consumed with like being a Lego engineer, and that's awesome. But also, like, let me be real for a second, that like is insanely hard. She was like, only like less than 1% of the people in the world get to do that.
Sure.
And she's like, not that I'm saying you can't, I don't want to douse that either. And I'm like, okay. She's like, but you should look into like engineering, specifically like structural. She's like, that's a
Yeah.
very real life application. And at the time, she knew my uncle was a structural engineer. She's like, go talk to him. And
Yeah.
I was like, oh, it's like Legos, but real life.
But real life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, so you've talked about a lot of your own experience. We've talked a little bit about our own experience, you know, mostly around the high school age, like you said. And
Yeah.
obviously, it's a broader span than that. Practically, what are like the key points for somebody who's preparing for college? What do you want them to have? What do you want them to have in their toolbox before they step, you know, before they get that diploma and step into real life,
For sure.
adult life? Sorry. It's all
I
real
think
life.
like that idea of adulting and just like what basic things to be on your own while also like going to college, like that's huge. And like helping students have, like, kind of talked about before, like study skills to do well in their classes. And kind of, I think it would be nice that students like go to college with like a picture of like what like schedule might look like and how that's different from being in high school all day and then going to extracurriculars. And then kind of tied to that, like definitely a lot of the like soft skills of how to work with others and like what, just college might look like. Oh, and also just like finding a sense of belonging, because that's so big with helping students.
How do you prepare somebody for that?
Yeah,
That's real.
yeah.
Like that's, I don't know, that's something that I feel like I've found or I haven't, you know?
Mhm.
Like are there certain things that you try and be like, okay, keep this in mind? Or like how do you train?
Yeah. I think a lot of this can be hard sometimes of like, how do you convey different soft skills or like you're saying, sense of belonging to like a practical way that students are able to put into practice. I think for like finding that sense of belonging, I would definitely advertise like different student organizations and just interest groups that are on campus and
Trying to find some like-mindedness.
to like find people who like share a certain hobby or belief that you might not have had a lot of people in your high school that did, and
Sure.
just being open about that. Another thing that I think really would help students be ready for college and just entering the workforce, depending on what option fits best with what they want to do in the future, is work-based learning and having that early experience in their fields in high school.
Can you define that? Work-based learning.
Yeah. So it's kind of encompasses a large thing, but a lot of it's like co-ops, internships, just
Okay,
like
so like a lot of
shadowing
hands-on.
others.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, like doing what Joel was saying earlier about like until he had like the hands-on like experience with engineering, like the academic stuff seemed great, but then actually doing it was like, maybe this isn't for me. So just getting that experience in high school and connecting students with people in the community that share advice on college and career.
Sure.
Yeah, definitely. That's a very real thing. I in high school, I remember having multiple people come in and talk about their career and just like, hey, this is like a general idea. Like they brought in an engineer. They brought in a scientist. They brought in a mathematician, an English teacher, just to give try and give a broad idea of what that's like. I guess So I've had this question in my head for a second now. So I did like the early middle to college program, which it just advances you straight into just doing college classes funded.
Like dual enrolled?
Yes, but no.
Okay.
The high school pays your college classes, same sort of thing as dual enrollment, but you actually do a 5th year of high school.
Okay.
And that whole extra year, you just do college classes full time.
Got it.
And you do like one class. So I had a capstone class that I did because my school's on trimesters. Every trimester, we just had a capstone class that we do, and we meet up and we'd actually talk about a lot of college and career readiness and preparing for that transition from community college to either going into the workforce or going to college. I have always wondered, and I wonder what your thoughts are on this, Liz, do you push for something like doing early middle college or dual enrollment where you're pushing straight for college and maybe you're not getting that hands-on experience, whereas pushing for doing something like a co-op or something like that where you're getting that hands-on experience, you're actually going to a job? Because I know you can do that, like do a job for a little bit during the day instead of going to classes.
Yeah, that is another good question that like also like depends on the person, and I think also the career. There have, I think, a couple places have like education programs where it's kind of a class, but then you get to like do the actual work, like a lot of tech centers, and I think that's like a really good combination of some instructional learning, but then also like having that hands-on experience. But then like I think on the flip side, having the opportunity to see what a college class is like would be really helpful to a lot of people, because I think for me it was a big adjustment of going to do my undergraduate and just like not having been in a college classroom before, like really knowing like what to expect and the differences in that, and just when classes are even. So I think it's definitely like both of them are really beneficial, and I think it would just come down to what the student would find the most success in and like what they might find value in.
Yeah. So it's a very student-based dependent thing. You don't...
Which, go figure, we're talking about human beings who are all uniquely gifted. You know, even within the same role or career are all incredibly individual, where one might be able to get everything they need from like an academic space, another might really need that hands-on to make it concrete, or vice versa, you know? That's
an awesome thing about my grad program is just seeing the variety of spaces and experiences that people come from, and how we all ended up wanting to study counseling, whether with couples and families or in a traditional like clinical mental health setting or as a school counselor, and just like we are all going towards the same end goal, but like how we got there and like what we specifically want to do with it looks a little different.
Yeah, that's really cool. Not like even within your own specific thing, like there's still this greater variety in counseling, which is so amazing. It seems like that's sort of what's drawn you, at least to this area, is sort of seeing that like different experience that like everybody has. Is that like sort of...
Yeah, and just like wanting to find value in those different experiences, and knowing that like one pathway to get to the same end goal as someone who goes on a different pathway, like that's okay. And like no one is gonna have the same exact path, and even just like life experiences and just like the different careers people choose, like there's value in every career. And like I think we've kind of seen that in more recent years after like a bigger push for students to go straight to college after high school, and then seeing like the trades suffer a little bit and not have as many people. So just like I think that is like another thing that like really makes me excited for college and career readiness, is knowing that like every student and every person is an individual and unique, and there's certain strategies that will be school-wide, but then also being able to tailor that for individual students and making sure they feel confident in their choices.
This is such a like broad, but like such a specific thing to be passionate about, which is like so cool. It's like, I don't know, but at the same time, like there's this like very exact thing that you could follow at the same time, which is wild.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's such like an interesting topic, and I hope people listening and like you guys have learned more about it and like what even like a school counselor does, and because it is like it does affect what people do for a living and just like who people are even, and so, like it is like that broad but also specific and just very meaningful topic.
Yeah, you have a lot of power given to you in your hand.
For the better.
For the light or for the dark. Anyways, with that, do you have any like final thoughts, any things you'd want to say on this, Liz, before we sort of hit up the next part here?
Not really, just advocate for school counseling and making sure that counselors are in school, especially at an elementary level, and just the change that can be done through that. And then to kind of tie it all up, just understanding that there is different pathways to get to different jobs. And I think Dave Prue actually talked about this in a previous episode of the podcast of just like that like weave of just like this interest or like he was going back and forth between like music and ministry and just finding what works best for you. So
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. Well, thank you, Liz, first off. I found that very interesting and also hit home at the same time, like with a lot of stuff that I've experienced in my own life.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It seems like you sort of felt the same way.
Yeah, that was really interesting to kind of think back on like what the experience for all of us was individually and how we can look towards future generations and try to prepare them as best as we can. So yeah, really glad people like you are doing what you're doing. So,
honestly.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And with that, I think we're going to send it over to Alli here for a little overrated.
Underrated.
I'm always going to say it the other way, buddy. Anyway, since Matt Bell is out of here, the fiance gets to take over. Ooh.
By the way, congratulations. Like
Thank you.
we've congratulated Matt on the pod, but we haven't gotten to hear from you since you guys got engaged.
Yes,
so
thank you.
Yeah.
It's been fun.
I would hope so.
Okay, so for our overrated, underrated game, we're going to stick to this theme of school and all of that. So the first question is about learning how to do taxes before learning how to find the area of a triangle, because you don't really see that in real life very often.
Oh, okay. So like practical life skills versus...
practical versus what you're actually taught. So overrated, underrated, preparing students for real life job skills, such as doing taxes in school.
Yeah.
Should they learn that?
Underrated. Absolutely.
Underrated.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I would agree.
Yeah. Liz, where do you land on that?
I also agree that like it is an underrated thing, and like I understand learning like some of the foundational skills in math, but then also I think it's hard to see students leave high school without knowing how to do taxes or how to budget, and just skills that do use math but are more practical. And I think that has been like a big part of a lot of like education classes I've taken, of finding ways for math, like different subjects, to have that practical application to really engage students learning.
Okay.
Yeah. That's now that I think about it a little more too, because like I'm working on do flip houses full time, so like trying to find the like not area but like using the Pythagorean theorem is a legitimate thing.
Sure.
Like doing like actual math that like I learned in school is a legitimate thing.
Sure.
But at the same time, with something like taxes, like I didn't ever learn how to do that, and like okay, I figured out how to do it for myself, but how the heck are you supposed to do it for a married couple? I have zero clue.
Yeah.
Nobody's taught me.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Right. Yeah, I totally agree with that. And I had like I don't remember what we called it. It wasn't econ technically. I can't remember
Was
what.
it like consumer economics?
Yes, it was consumers.
Yeah.
It was consumer, and it was incredibly helpful. I remember because there are some skills that I have kind of gone, like how to balance a checkbook. I haven't touched a checkbook in my life just because of the way like
maybe written one check.
Banking and technology is shifted, you know? But like now at this stage of life, you know, college debt is a thing, and like practical steps for getting out of that were instilled in that class. Ironically, I don't remember taxes actually being a part of that. That was something I kind of figured out as I went. And yay TurboTax, because they just kind of walk you through it.
Yeah.
But no, I'm like really, really grateful for some of those practical tips. I honestly wish I'd paid a little bit more attention at that age, but I was a junior, and what is life at that point?
Who at that point in life.
Yeah, right.
I think that like is sometimes where I struggle with it a little bit of wanting students to be engaged, but there are times where like I like just kind of checked out in class, and just like knowing those skills are important.
It's tough when it's like you're doing it every day for how long is a full year? Like 8 months? 8 months, 9 months? Something like that. Yeah. Alli?
So I have a still underrated for me, but a completely different school experience being homeschooled.
Oh,
than all of you.
Okay.
So
them homeschoolers.
I didn't have any career or college readiness, anything.
Sure.
And I grew up working with my mom in our business too. So I did my school while my mom was working in our house. So I grew up writing a million checks and helping with taxes.
Practically doing it.
Yeah. So it's just very interesting for me to see what like the public school or private school people think, because mine is just very different.
That's
and
fascinating.
I never was in that world except for like preschool. So
sure. So to go back to that question though, did you find that from the experiential experience that you got that made but yeah, from the experience you were able to obtain, did you find that more practical than a lot of the high school classes?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. Yeah.
Like I was good at school, but I found school to be very boring.
Okay.
And so I was better at the stuff that I could do hands-on. Kind of, I guess, going back to like what Joel was saying earlier, it was easier for me to, learn how to write the checks and, do all this stuff that you don't normally do until you're an adult.
Right. Yeah.
Just because I had to do it a lot, and it was something that is still applicable to my life today.
Yeah.
So I found it very valuable and way better than a lot of school subjects.
I think the fact that like you're actively able to like write checks while like you're learning it too, like that I think helps like really cement that too.
Oh, for sure. I actually got to a point where I loved writing checks. And
really?
Yeah.
What?
I don't know why.
ADHD brain can't I don't have a box for enjoying that process.
Yeah. Well, I guess when you do it enough and, I don't know. I'm just weird.
It becomes satisfying.
That's incredible. No, that's a superpower. Like, I'm jealous.
My mom's the same way. Like,
she
does the finances for, like, my mom and dad. She does the finances for the both of them. And she's like, I love doing this. She'll sit down and I'm like, you could, like, use Excel or, like, speed this up with some sort of financing program or something. And no, she has a piece of paper, a calculator, and a pencil. And she is like, I love this.
Good for her.
And I'm like, okay. Legal pads are our friend.
There is something satisfying about a good legal pad.
Yes.
Gotta say.
And a good pen.
Very good. G2s.
Oh, yeah. Overrated, underrated. G2s.
Overrated.
Underrated. G2s are the best.
It's okay to be wrong, Joel.
I don't know the specific name for them, but the Sharpie pens.
Yes.
Yeah,
okay, that's the next one.
Those are pretty
the next
good.
best.
I'd
after
take the
G2s.
Sharpie pens over the G2s. But I also just have some custom handmade pens for my grandpa that I use that top all of those. So
yeah.
But that's aside from the point. Anyways, I think with that, I want to first off thank you, Liz, just for taking the time to come on to the podcast here. So thank you very much for coming on. And
thanks for being our guinea pig. But also thank you for an awesome episode. That was super interesting.
Honestly.
Thanks for thinking of me and inviting me on. This was really fun just to talk about one thing I'm passionate about.
Yes, that is, I think, one of the hardest things that I've noticed in talking to all of our guests here is the fact of just like, there's one thing typically everybody's like super passionate about, but there's a million other things that they're like, like there's this too.
Yeah.
But anyways, that's a later discussion for a later day. I just want to take everyone else that's listening out there right now just to Thank you for taking the time to listen today. And if you enjoyed the episode as much as I did, please give us a like. Also, don't forget to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Threads. And don't forget to spread the word and let your friends know about us. We are on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and many more streaming platforms. I hope to see you all in the next one where we'll actually do a different format.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got a pretty cool episode on the horizon.
Yes.
So stay tuned.
Yes, that will be quite interesting. Lang, why don't you take us out of here?
42 North is produced by Alli King, distributed on Podbean, and our intro-outro music is created by Jake Chandler.
Hold up. It's produced by Alli? Woo! That's Moinsworthy.
Moins.
Wait, I didn't leave. I'm still here.